Leonardo da Vinci was an extremely talented individual who lived in a time with many incredibly inventions and discoveries. He was known for his ability to draw and paint, and he worked as a scientist, engineer, inventor, a fine musician, and was even known to be handsome and a strong athlete. His most significant works were left unfinished, but his achievements in 67 years still set the standard for human excellence. Leonardo was born on April 15, 1452, in a small hill town in Italy to a well-to-do businessman named Ser Piero and his mother Caterina. Although his parents were not married, they cared for him and provided him with food, clothing, and a home. Leonardo's uncle Francesco was a farmer who loved the beautiful countryside around Vinci and would take him on long walks in the hills covered with olive trees. Leonardo's notebook was a valuable resource, and he made drawings of anything that interested him. Leonardo had a fantastic talent for drawing, and his drawings seemed to flow from his fingers onto the paper. He understood the beauty of nature and its dangers, such as the terrible hurricane striking the countryside when he was only 4 years old, and the Arno River flooding Florence when he was 10. Ser Piero, a practical man, knew that Leonardo's choices in life were limited, and he could not attend a university, be a lawyer or a businessman like his father, or become a doctor. However, he could work in one of the art studios in Florence, where being an artist was a respectable trade. Ser Piero decided to take Leonardo to the city and arrange for him to live and work with a famous artist named Andrea del Verrocchio. This was undoubtedly the best thing Ser Piero ever did for his son, changing his life forever. In summary, Leonardo da Vinci was a remarkable individual who achieved great success in his lifetime. His talent for drawing and understanding nature's beauty and dangers led him to pursue an art career. His father, Ser Piero, was aware of his son's talent and arranged for him to live and work with the famous artist in Florence. During the 1400s, Florence was a significant city-state in what is now Italy, with its own government called the Signoria. The city was ruled by a wealthy and influential family called the Medici, who were art lovers and wanted works of art to go inside their buildings. Andrea del Verrocchio, one of the most famous artists in Florence at the time, had plenty of jobs and apprentices, including Leonardo. Leonardo was made an apprentice at the age of 12 and was given a free room, food, and a little money. At the studio, they learned to become artists, painting pictures, creating frescoes, making statues out of marble or bronze, designing pottery, silverware, objects of gold, and even designing buildings. Apprentices started at the bottom of the ladder and worked their way up, sweeping the studio, running errands for older artists, and cleaning up at the end of the day. Verrocchio's studio was typical of its time, with apprentices at the very bottom and workers called journeymen. They had many years of experience and helped teach the apprentices. The Guild of Painters was a group that protected the interests of its members, and there were guilds for many different professions, such as leatherworkers, drifters, and weavers. Verrocchio's best assistants were already members of the Artists' Guild and known as masters. In Leonardo's time, patrons ordered 2 types of paintings: portraits, which were pictures of things or family members, and religious paintings, which showed moments from the life of Jesus and the saints. There were no landscape paintings, where natural scenery was the subject, nor still life paintings, which were paintings of objects like a bowl of fruit, a bunch of flowers in a vase, or a table set for dinner. In the 1520s, a German artist named Alfred Altdorfer was the first to do landscape paintings. Still life paintings were first created in the Netherlands in the 1650s. As head of the studio, Verrocchio ran the business and drew up contracts, specifying the job, time, cost, and materials used. He signed the works of art and realized Leonardo had exceptional talent. Soon after learning the basics of the trade, Leonardo was allowed to do more meaningful work. Patrons often gave religious paintings to important churches in Florence, such as Mary and the baby Jesus in the manger with Joseph and the wise men and shepherds. Verrocchio received a commission to do a painting of the baptism of Jesus, in which he painted almost everything except one of the angels. He realized that Leonardo was a genius with talent like no one he had ever seen before. After seeing Leonardo's angel, Verrocchio never took up a paintbrush again and went on to create more statues and gold items. Leonardo lived in Florence for 13 years and became a master and member of the guild. He was drawn to Verrocchio's workshop, which felt like a home to him as he was a kind master, and the two were quite close. Florence was also an exciting place to live, full of new ideas and books. As a child, Leonardo had been taught to read and write and knew simple math. He wanted to learn about everything and could teach himself, so he started buying and collecting books. In the 1400s, Filippo Brunelleschi figured out a way to make paintings appear three-dimensional or 3D, using painting in perspective. This required math to measure out the correct spaces for figures on the wood panels. He blurred hills and valleys in the background of a painting, creating a peaceful yet dramatic effect. In 1478, at about 26 years old, Leonardo completed a whole painting, The Annunciation, which depicted an angel appearing to Mary and telling her that she would have a son named Jesus. However, Leonardo painted only 13 paintings, 3 of which are still unfinished. He lived well into his 60s and was not lazy. He loved to work and often left his work undone when asked to complete a painting. His patrons could be fussy, and Leonardo did not like to be told what to do. His talent and dedication to his craft make him a valuable asset to the world. In 1478, Florence was a chaotic city with conflicting families and dangerous streets. At age 30, Leonardo decided to leave Florence and move north to Milan, where he worked for the ruler of Milan, Ludovico Sforza. Sforza was interested in arts and wanted someone to design new weapons for him. Leonardo wrote a letter to the Duke, listing his skills and talents, including designing buildings, bridges, warships, and cannons. Leonardo worked for the Duke for many years until he was forced from power. He built incredible stage sets for a play called The Feast of Paradise, which featured a mountain split into two, a model of the heavens, actors in fancy costumes, and the 12 zodiac signs lit by torchlight. Leonardo's practical work included heating water for the Duchess's bath and building canals. One project he worked on was a giant horse statue to honor his father's memory. For years, Leonardo made sketches, studied horses in his stables, made wax models, and even cut into the muscles and bones of dead horses. The horse statue would be more than 3 times the size of a real horse, with its front right leg lifted and made of bronze. Despite the challenges, Leonardo continued to dream about his horse and his work, eventually completing the statue in 1478. Da Vinci completed the 24-foot-high clay horse statue in the courtyard of the Duke's castle after 10 years of work. The statue was admired by Milanians, who agreed it was the most unique one ever created. However, Leonardo had much work ahead of him, including mold-making and pouring hot bronze into the molds. The Duke collected all the metal needed, but the horse was never made. By 1494, the Duke feared French soldiers attacking Milan, so the bronze was turned into cannons. The French took over Milan in 1499, and the horse was destroyed by arrows. This incident led to the end of Leonardo's dream. Another important job for the Duke involved painting a fresco on a wall in the monastery's dining hall. The fresco, The Last Supper, depicted Jesus and his 12 followers at a dinner table. Leonardo made numerous drawings of ways to show 13 figures seated at the table, and he wandered through Milan looking for people to put in the fresco. The fresco is one of the most famous works of art in the world, and it was admired by a 17-year-old boy who later became a writer. He wrote about Leonardo's daily routine, including Leonardo painting from sunrise to sunset without eating or drinking. In the fresco, Jesus is shown calm but sad, with 6 men on either side. By 1497, The Last Supper was completed and remains a work of genius. The painting began to crack and peel less than 50 years after its completion. This was due to Leonardo's experimentation with varnish and tempera paints, which caused significant damage to the painting. The Duke, a patron of Leonardo, kept him busy and allowed him to take jobs from other wealthy people in Milan. In 1490, Leonardo took in a poor boy named Salai, known for his rascal behavior and theft. Despite this, Leonardo is fond of Salai and never asks him to leave. He enjoyed being alone and free to think. In 1499, the Duke lost power and fled Milan, where he was captured and died as a prisoner in France. Leonardo left Milan with Salai and another old friend, leaving only his notebooks, which he kept filled with drawings and ideas. These notebooks are still priceless treasures, with about 13,000 pages estimated. After his death, many pages were torn out and sold, and some were rediscovered hundreds of years later. Today, there are 10 different collections of Leonardo's notebooks, with only about 6,000 known to exist. Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, bought one collection, Codex Atlanticus, which is all about water and features drawings of waves, currents, ripples, and drops of water splashing into puddles. Leonardo's handwriting was reversed in the notebooks, known as mirror writing. The reasons behind this writing style remain unknown, but it may have been a way for Leonardo to make it difficult for others to read or to keep his ideas secret. Leonardo da Vinci was a genius deeply interested in various subjects, including water, light, eyesight, birds, and the human body. He created an encyclopedia covering about 20 big subjects, with notebooks filled with writing and beautiful drawings. Leonardo was also passionate about machines, designing bicycles, parachutes, and submarines. He believed that people would one day fly, believing it was within the power of man to create such instruments. He studied birds, bats, and their wings, trying to create wings that worked using pulleys, cranks, wheels, and shock absorbers. However, no wings were built by Leonardo, and his drawings suggest that he may have tried to glide in the air but could not, due to the weight and difficulty of lifting heavy objects. The Wright brothers' airplane flew 12 seconds in December 1903, almost 400 years after Leonardo's death. Leonardo worked for another duke in Italy, Cesare Borgia, who was power-hungry and bloodthirsty. He designed weapons for his troops, some of which looked like something out of a fantasy movie. One of his most famous designs was a giant-sized crossbow that could shoot several arrows at once, and a strange contraption with long blades designed to strap onto a horse for attackers. Despite his early interest in water, Leonardo never stuck to one subject and continued to explore various subjects in his notebooks. His notebooks reveal the mind of a true genius, with his ideas and designs shaping the world we know today. Leonardo da Vinci believed the human body was a perfect machine, dissecting cadavers to understand how different parts worked together. He returned to Florence several times and did more dissections, working on about 30 bodies. His drawings of the human body are astounding, showing everything precisely as it appears. Leonardo's work was not discovered until long after his death, but it was still considered disgusting by medical students. He also created cutaway drawings, showing muscles underneath and allowing bones to show. His drawings were better than words, showing everything precisely as it appeared. In 1495, Leonardo designed the first robot, a full-size knight in armor that could sit up, move its head, and wave its arms. He was hundreds of years ahead of his time. The Renaissance in Italy produced many talented artists, including Raphael and Michelangelo. Raphael was born in Urbino, Italy in 1483 and learned to draw from his artist father. He studied the works of Leonardo and Michelangelo, both famous artists at the time. Michelangelo, born in Cappadocia, Italy, 1475, had a successful career but did not consider painting his true calling. He thought of himself as a sculptor first, loving working with beautiful Italian marble. He completed the Pietà masterpiece of Mary, holding Jesus' body when he was only 23. Michelangelo is most famous for painting the entire ceiling of a chapel for the Pope in Rome, the Sistine Chapel, which took him 4 years to complete. Raphael and Michelangelo were two artists who had different personalities and styles. Raphael was well off, while Leonardo was handsome, well-dressed, neatly groomed, and charming. Michelangelo, 27 years younger than Leonardo, was famous for his colossal statue of David. When asked to paint a wall in the central government building of Florence, they both failed to complete their frescoes. Leonardo's fresco was about 60 feet by 24 feet and featured scenes from famous battles that Florence had won. He began by making many drawings but eventually decided to use oil paints with coal fires to make the paint dry quickly. However, this experiment failed, and the top part of his battle scene ended up black with smoke, leaving Leonardo with a big mess. Michelangelo was called to Rome by the Pope to start other jobs, such as painting the ceiling of the Pope's chapel, known as the Sistine Chapel. Modern frescoes are not the same as Renaissance frescoes, as they were drawings rather than full-color paintings. The Mona Lisa, a portrait of a wealthy silk merchant, is one of the few completed paintings by Leonardo. The painting features a simple black dress, a thin black veil covering her long curling hair, and a calm half-smile. The Mona Lisa is probably the most famous painting in the world, but Leonardo loved it too. When he was finished, he kept it wherever he went for the rest of his life. The painting is known for its mysterious expression on her face, which appears to be looking out at something only she can see. Raphael greatly admired Leonardo's work, while Michelangelo was more reserved and uninterested in the art world. Despite their differences, both artists had a deep love for their art and continued to create beautiful artwork. Leonardo da Vinci's portraits of women, such as the young girl with ermine and Ginevra de' Benci, are considered more beautiful than the Mona Lisa. The young girl with ermine features a young girl named Cecilia Gallerani, who wears richer clothes, while the Mona Lisa is in the Louvre Museum in Paris. The Mona Lisa is dreamy and more haunting, with ghostly pale skin and sorrowful eyes. Leonardo's father, Ser Piero, died in 1504, leaving him with nothing. His uncle Francesco died in 1507, leaving Leonardo with his land and money. When he needed a patron, a king named Francis V of France, he found one in Amboise, France, who appreciated his genius and allowed him to live in a beautiful house with his book collection, notebooks, and 3 paintings, including the Mona Lisa. Leonardo left his notebooks to his friend Melzi, who tried to organize them into a book called Treatise on Painting. The book explained Leonardo's ideas about painting, but wasn't published until 1651, over 130 years after his death. The rest of the notebook pages remained unknown to the world for a long time, with the most recent ones found in 1965 in Madrid. In conclusion, Leonardo's portraits of women such as Young Girl with Ermine and Ginevra de Benci showcase his unique perspectives on art and the human condition. While some may argue that Leonardo's life was not happy, his legacy lives on in the artists who seek to capture the essence of beauty, in the scientists who strive to unravel the mysteries of existence, and in all who dare to dream beyond the constraints of their time. Let us carry forward Leonardo da Vinci's timeless wisdom, that true genius lies not only in what we create, but in how we perceive the world around us. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history here on Portraits of the Past. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more fascinating stories from the annals of time. Remember to hit the bell icon to receive notifications whenever we upload new content. Until next time, keep exploring the past to understand our present. Take care and see you in the next episode.